Block Nation, welcome inside the channel. It is week 4 of this 2024 NFL regular season, and I'm here at B-More Around Town, just blocks away from M&T Bank Stadium, where Sunday night football goes down in the evening inside the bank. It's the Ravens and the Bills, and you better believe it's a big one for both teams, particularly the Ravens, who have had an underwhelming start to this year, as we know, at 1-2. 2 elite quarterbacks, 2 elite franchises, 2 elite defenses, even though the Ravens haven't necessarily shown that of late in terms of 4 quarters. Lots to get to over the course of the next hour plus. We're taking you up until around 7:30 or so, and then you know what the drill is for me. I race across town, and I get back to the studio so that Sarah and I can join you for post-game live coverage as soon as this one finishes up. I've heard from folks that traveled in from Arizona, from Florida, from everywhere but Baltimore that have made the trip today, and it means a lot. Those of you like the Spars who came in from Arizona, it's been exceptional, and we're getting ready for, of course, a primetime kickoff where John Harbaugh's Ravens have been nothing short of dominant over his tenure. Look at the numbers that back that up. I mean, it's just since 2008, which, of course, was the year that he arrived, he's produced an NFL best 20-3 record in these kind of games. Primetime home games. In those 23 contests, the Ravens own a plus 237 scoring margin. That's 623 points compared to just allowing 16.8 in terms of points per game allowed. So, again, this has been a dominant stretch for John Harbaugh in these kinds of games, and his quarterback certainly has backed that up. Lamar has been tremendous in these games, going 8-1 thus far in his career. I think that was the stat that I saw earlier on, and here it is from Adam Schefter earlier today. Few players have been better in home primetime games than Ravens QB Lamar Jackson. He's 8-1 in home primetime games, including 6 straight wins heading into tonight's matchup against Buffalo. His only home primetime loss came in 2020 against who we know was the defending champion, back-to-back defending champion, Kansas City Chiefs. The guest lines are open. Thank you so much for being with me tonight. It's a big one, and we covered it extensively throughout the week. We're about to have our first guest of the evening, an in-person guest, and then we'll open up the lines. I'll give you my prediction for this one, and we're going to get into it in depth. But first, to kick off the evening, making his debut inside the channel, let everybody know who you are and where you're from.
Fred Hubert from Ellison City, Maryland.
Fred, great to have you on the channel. Let's go big screen so we can get you the FaceTime that you deserve here. And let's point the light over here to get you your due. Fred, you asked me about a half an hour ago when I was setting up how you thought, how I thought this one was going to shake out. And I'll tell the audience later on. I won't spoil the prediction. But what are your biggest thoughts going into a big one under the primetime lights?
I mean, I want them to play a complete game. I want them to run the ball. I mean, we last couple of years, we've had that running back. They didn't use Delvin Cook last year in the AFC Championship game. And the first couple of games, they didn't use Derrick Henry like I thought they should. The Cowboys game, they finally let the king run free. So hopefully they figured out, Monken figured out, hey, I mean, if I was the defense coordinator, I would not want to have to scheme Lamar and Derrick Henry. I mean, that's just a two-headed monster.
No kidding.
It's that RPO, you hand off to Derrick. You can't. I mean, the Cowboys they proved that they had Micah Parsons grabbing that air a couple of times. He came down, crashed on Henry, and Lamar pulled it and scored. That they do that for 4 quarters.
Yeah,
not 3, not 2.5. I don't see how anybody can stay with them.
I want to play for you. I'm really glad you brought this up because I'm watching Sunday NFL Countdown this morning. And by the way, what a luxury. I mean, working on game days my entire professional life to date is kind of nice when you got a primetime game. Yeah, I won't sleep tonight.
Yeah.
But the fact that I actually got to sit around and watch Countdown and Rex Ryan say
I watched this morning. Yep.
Watch this.
The best team in the NFL. And I get it. They're 1-2. You heard the stat about the worst pass defense in the league. I ain't buying it. You got a coordinator that's coaching out of a book. It's going to take him a little while to get caught up to speed. I'm just telling you, the defense coordinator for the Ravens,
yeah.
Orr, I believe, Zach Orr. But
yes,
anyhow,
yes.
I mean, I'm
so
just
why are they
telling
the
you,
best team in the
they're
league?
the best team in the league because nobody can stop their run.
Yeah.
All right, and they figured it out. You got Derrick Henry, by the way. Is he going to get dehydrated? Oh, yes, he is. I told you he's going to get dehydrated against Dallas. He's going to get dehydrated again today. I mean, I'm sorry, but this team is so talented and so physical and way ahead of it. Scheme-wise, it's a brilliant scheme. We've seen some shots of it. Alex, you had some stuff on it. I'm just telling you, it's almost impossible to defend. And this team, once that defense catches up, I think they could be the best team in the league.
Okay, so a couple things stick out to you, obviously. One, he acknowledges that Zach Orr is a work in progress, as Mike McDonald was 2 years ago right around now.
Correct.
But you also mentioned, despite the 1-2 start, you heard him mention he thinks the Ravens are the best team in the NFL. Why? Because of their ability to run the rock. What do you think of that, Fred?
Yeah, I mean, he hit it right on the head on the nail there. That Derrick Henry is a 3-down back. There's no reason to pull him out on 3rd down or 2nd down because it's long yardage. Throw him the ball. They threw him the ball in Dallas, and he got about 20, 30 yards on a screenplay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so give the man the rock. Let him carry the rock. Then when everybody starts keying on Derrick, Lamar can pull it and do what Lamar does. Let the man do what he does.
There's a reason why this duo on paper, we were all so friggin' excited
I was
about
excited.
it.
Yes.
About a year, 6 months ago or whatever that was in March when they chose to bring in number 22. So you better believe it's going to be a physical one tonight. You better believe if history repeats itself, it's going to be a low-scoring one. I don't think either one of these teams is getting to 30 tonight,
Nope.
which is why my prediction was 28-27. Now, I looked at this objectively, and not to spoil the show here, but I did pick Buffalo this week, and here's why. Until the Ravens show me consistently that they're able to stack 4 quarters and play red zone defense that's championship caliber and evolve into the Zach Orr era defensively, where gap integrity is taking place, where missed assignments are not happening or at least are rare, and the communication is a streamlined process among all 3 levels, I just don't trust them yet. But I think that they'll get there. I just don't trust them at this point in time.
I agree.
Against the Buffalo team.
No, not against. Yeah, not against Buffalo. Buffalo's a good, well-rounded team.
Yep.
They're excellent in the 4th quarter. That's who's I'm concerned about our 4th quarter defense, and that they just don't. They give up too many. They get 2 10-point leads against the Raiders, which they never should have lost that game.
Exactly.
You can't give up 2 10-point leads late in the game. So if they can put, that's what I said. They can put all 4 quarters together. Feed Derrick Henry. Let the king eat. They'll be okay. Maybe they'll figure this out. This is a game that they should figure it out and hopefully give him the rock for 4 quarters.
Fred, I appreciate you for dropping on the show. And, hey, enjoy Be More Around Town, right? This place is popping right now. I got 3 cigars in my bag.
I know.
I'm drinking Ghost Energy right now.
I got my cigar here, too, baby.
Oh, and you're smoking your cigar?
Yeah,
I mean,
this is my 2nd one.
If you got them, smoke them, baby. Smoke them if you got them. Appreciate you, my friend.
All right,
I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Let's bring on the Buffalo boy now. He's getting ready to come on over here and mix it up with us. And as the Buffalo perspective comes out, watch your feet on the way out there, Fred. Thank you for coming on. We're going to bring in a Buffalo fan here. I know. I'm going to get after him pretty good, though, okay? And before we bring him in, listen to what Josh Allen had to say about Lamar Jackson this week.
One, he's an inspiration to a lot of people in this country. The way that he plays the game, the doubters that he had coming out and asking to switch positions early on, and then for him to show the resiliency and the work ethic and the attitude to go forward and win 2 MVPs. Guys around the league, they see that. He's really changed the way that I think guys play the game. But make no mistake about it, he can throw the snot out of the football, and got a lot of respect for him, a lot of love for him. Love watching him play because every play is never dead with him. He's got a crazy ability to keep plays alive and make guys miss and then get the ball downfield. So yeah, he's a special player.
It's always a challenge, even when you have veteran players. And so with our new players that are playing this year that have never played against Lamar, it'll be an adjustment for them. And then just, trying to get them to understand the techniques that you have to use and how on point you have to be. So and you're never going to stop a player like that. He's just too good, and you just hope that you can win more than you lose in terms of the plays. But they're just so powerful, as I said, and then he's just so explosive.
That's Sean McDermott, head coach of the Buffalo Bills, and of course Josh Allen, QB1, speaking very highly of not only number one QB1 on the other side, but this Ravens offensive attack. Well, before we react to that, a Loyola classmate of mine, Buffalo's finest, Rochester's finest, McQuaid Jesuit's finest, and a good friend of mine, Mark Metzler, joins the show after talking a whole lot of nonsense all weekend long, weren't you?
Yeah,
great to have
absolutely.
you, brother.
Thank you for having me
How are
on,
you?
Bobby. I'm doing well. What a setup you guys have here, and
Yeah,
can't
you
wait.
can see the bank in the distance. This place is buzzing right now, and obviously we're working towards the game of the year. But I wanted to bring you on because, let's be clear, it's been nothing short of spectacular what these two have done respectively with their two organizations over the last 6 years as draft classmates. This is year 7. Look at the graphic that we have on the screen, courtesy of ESPN. The most games leading team in pass and rush yards. Okay, Cam Newton is atop this list with 40. He's just in NFL history. Okay, Lamar is at 39, so he'll ultimately eclipse Cam. And the way Josh is going too, he's going to end up eclipsing Cam when it's all said and done. Where I'm going with this, though, is both of these two are just undeniably valuable for their teams. And I think what gets lost in the national media, and we talked about this on the golf course yesterday, is that there always seems to be a pinning up against one another. That's a national media topic in today's day and age. It's just something that happens. And when that happens, you lose sight of just how special each one of these guys are. And so I figured we could start it off before you and I get into our bloodbath of acknowledging that. How about that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Lamar has been absolutely fantastic for the Ravens throughout his entire career. That 2018 draft class, with Josh going to Buffalo, and I know
I feel bad for the other Josh, by the way.
Yeah, and a lot of Buffalo fans were, upset at that pick, and then, the Lamar running back comments, this guy's not an NFL quarterback, and the two guys that were counted out the most are the two best in that class, and even a guy like Baker Mayfield having a career resurgence down in Tampa.
They roughed up the Eagles today as we watched.
Oh yeah, that was a bloodbath. But no, two really great quarterbacks. Two quarterbacks perfect for the systems that they play in for each respective franchise. Can't wait to see it live tonight.
Here they are. It's going to be a good one. And hey, as I mentioned in this week's preview show, and you and I talked about at length, I actually picked Buffalo this week because I just don't trust the Ravens yet. And when I say the trust, I'm talking about the Ravens defense. And as we've always seen, though, in the history of these two battling together over the last 7 years, typically no team gets to 30. Typically it's a defensive battle. Typically it's got to be a clean game if you want to win. And sometimes it comes down to who's got it last. And if you go back to the 2022 season, which we all remember because it's become all too familiar with these fourth quarter collapses or second half collapses, the Ravens had almost a 3-possession lead in that game, and the Bills end up walking away victorious.
Yes.
What would you say is, so far, if you were to choose, it's been tough because it's 3-0 and Buffalo's playing such clean football, but what do you think is an area, maybe not of weakness, but of vulnerability?
For sure the middle of the defense there. You have two backup linebackers in with Terrell Bernard out with pectoral, and then you have Matt Milano out as well. It's just the backup linebackers haven't been tested inside the numbers yet. And with no nickel, Taron Johnson, probably the other best player on this Buffalo defense, not going tonight as well. The first couple teams that the Bills have played, they've attacked outside the numbers, and the Ravens do all their work between the numbers. That, for me, is the key to this game. I think Buffalo playing that 32nd ranked secondary is going to have some success there, but it comes down to the middle of that Buffalo defense, and if they're able to communicate, Balin Spector's the guy to really keep an eye on, number 54 on that defense. Dorian Williams is the other linebacker playing. He's been a bit better, but Balin Spector's going to have to deal with Henry. He's going to have to be able to read Lamar Jackson in that read option offense. Dealing with Andrews and Likely. That could be a nightmare scenario if you're a Buffalo fan watching, but they have been good so far.
I'm glad you brought up the outside the numbers versus what Buffalo's seen and how they've kind of deployed defensively so far. Warren Sharp is what got everybody talking about that this week. Sarah and I covered extensively. If you haven't seen that yet, listen to this clip.
The Buffalo Bills have played the Dolphins, Jaguars, and Cardinals. It's wild to see what those three teams do similarly on offense that doesn't attack the weakness of the Bills' defense. And then what the Baltimore Ravens do on offense, which is going to be completely the opposite. On early downs in the first three quarters of the games, the Baltimore Ravens throw the ball outside the numbers on only 38% of their passes. That ranks 30th in the NFL. The average is 48%. Meanwhile, the Cardinals, Jaguars, and Dolphins, they all rank top 10 in percentage of passes which go outside the numbers. Completely different than the way the Baltimore Ravens attack you. In addition, those three teams all rank top 10 in percentage of passes thrown 20-plus air yards. The Baltimore Ravens, they rank dead last. Instead, on early downs in the first half of games, Baltimore is throwing the ball 73% of the time within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. The number one highest rate in the NFL throwing the ball underneath. Those three prior Bills opponents all rank well above average in air yards per attempt. In fact, the Cardinals and Jaguars both rank top 5. The Baltimore Ravens, 30th in air yards per attempt the first three quarters per game. Those three teams throw deep and outside the numbers at the highest rates in the NFL. So it's no surprise that a team like the Bills with solid corners was able to have success defending a passing game which was attacking their defensive strength. The Ravens do the exact opposite. They don't go deep and outside the numbers. They throw underneath and between the numbers, and they do that at some of the highest rates in the NFL. The Bills haven't faced that this year, and it's going to attack them and their new safeties and their backup linebackers in ways that opposing offenses haven't done yet this season. That was their prior opponent's DNA. They were throwing the ball into the teeth of the Bills' defense. Naturally, it didn't work out. The Ravens' DNA, it attacks the Bills at their weakness. Baltimore doesn't have to change anything to attack the weakness. Their 2024 passing attack under Todd Monken already attacks the weakness of the Bills' defense in 2024 while avoiding its strength.
There you have it, Metzi. I think you summed it up well. That could very well be the difference in tonight.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think for me also another key to the game is the Bills through 3 games. Obviously the games happened before today. We're number 1 in pass block win rate on offense, and with the Ravens secondary not playing up to their usual standard,
yes,
on the offensive side of the ball, I think that's the key. Is if they can keep that Baltimore pass rush at bay, I think they're going to find some success. And ultimately, I have Buffalo 24, Ravens 21. Just a field goal game. You made a really good point about both teams getting to 30s. Probably not a good bet tonight. But ultimately, I just think I can't trust the Ravens in the fourth quarter with some of these collapses that we've seen out of them. And I think Josh makes just a couple more plays at the end of the game, has the ball last, and they get it done. So
look at the trajectory here. I mentioned it earlier on, like the similarity in terms of what they've done statistically. It's unbelievable. And you look at it big screen. Look at these guys. First of all, they're 2-2 head-to-head. There's been a lot of conversation and some confusion about that this week. They're 2-2 head-to-head. Now, Josh has the upper hand in the playoffs. We all remember the January of 2021 when Lamar was knocked out of that game with a concussion after an errant snap. So they're 2-2 head-to-head. In terms of overall stats, look at the winning percentage. Josh is 66-30 as a starter in this league over the last 6 years and change. Lamar's 59-21. Now, that number is lower, obviously, because of 2021 and 2022, which were highly injured seasons for him. But again, as much as we're all going to talk about it, every time these guys match up, every time Mahomes and Burrow matches up, Mahomes and Allen, Lamar and Burrow, so on and so forth, everybody wants to pin these guys up against one another, and that's fun to do. But at the end of the day, you cannot lose sight about this is the Brady, Manning, Breeze era, right? We're living in that era right now, and the AFC is just stacked with the quarterbacks, and you hope for the next decade plus we're going to have a chance to watch that unfold.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, the Chiefs are not going to make the Super Bowl every year. I mean, as well as Brady, went 50% of the time, it's unheard of. But, there are chances for success for the other 3 guys that you had just mentioned.
Yep.
And, the game tonight should be a real fun one.
We're here at BMO Around Town. Go to and visit bmoaroundtown.com for purple tailgate passes. You can go on the road with the Ravens. They're tremendous. They sent me to London last year for Ravens-Titans. It was a fantastic experience. And Brian Snyder and his team, great to partner up with them for yet another season. So, again, you can find out more information and hit the site by visiting the link that I have included at the top of the show notes below. I'm keeping you from some important items in here, but I'd be remiss if I didn't ask on your way out. Were there any shout-outs that you wanted to include tonight?
Yeah, I wanted to shout out all the Bills fans back home in Western New York and around the globe. I know you're going to be watching, and I just want to shout out my lovely girlfriend, Sarah. I know you're watching. I love you. So, yeah, no, I'm very excited to be back in Baltimore with you. Thank you for the hospitality this weekend.
Always.
And let's cap it off with a great game tonight over at the bank.
Who knows? You could be back here in a few short months from right now. Doesn't look like it right now.
Yeah.
It looks like the Ravens are about to go through Buffalo.
Yeah.
But you never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
Thanks again.
Enjoy
man.
yourself. Go get yourself another drink.
Absolutely. Cheers.
That's Mark Metzler from Rochester, New York, kind enough to spend a few minutes with me, not only this weekend, but literally right now as we get ready for kickoff. We're a little under 2 hours away, so looking forward to it. All right, let's open up the guest lines. We'll go down to Mexico City. Manuel, give it to me. What you got?
What do I got? It's going to be a close one. That's for sure. I don't know if Falalele is going to hold up this week against Von Miller. I mean, let's pray that he holds up with McCarry. If not, let's pray that Harbaugh gets the wisdom to, you know what, you're not cutting it. Get Ben Cleveland or have McCarry at right guard and have Rosengard at left right tackle. Another thing, and this is one of the things that I have been watching. Bill's offense goes on fast. And if we are able to slow down Allen and get our running game going, because that's where I see Buffalo weak, the run game. Every time, I mean, that Arizona game, they were gushing them with runs, and then it opened up to the passes. But if we're able to establish Henry, Hill, and Lamar at the run, then we have a very good chance of winning this game. But it all depends on defense slowing down Allen and the offense running the ball effectively. Not much, effectively. We need efficiency, not quantity.
Well said, my friend. One thing I'm going to be looking at closely, and I'm going to let you go because we're going to keep the guest lines moving tonight, all right? Enjoy the game. We'll catch up with you post-game, I'm sure, Manuel, down in Mexico City. But I'll tell you this, as we welcome in an in-person guest, let everybody know where you came in from today and what your name is.
My name's Howard. I came in from West Palm Beach, Florida.
Howard, I'm glad we could get you out of harm's way down there. I know you said you were more south than everything that was going on, but first and foremost, thank you for making the trip up here. I appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Big fan. Been following you for a couple of years now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Support the channels. A lot of information, man. You and Sarah, you're my go-to.
Appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun doing this, and I love when we can cultivate these relationships with people that aren't necessarily in the Baltimore area. So keep you guys feel like you're still in tune and around the area, you know. So one thing that I wanted to mention after what Manuel just said is the Ravens have been a little bit suspect in terms of red zone defense.
Yep.
And that's an area that doesn't necessarily match up well with Buffalo because they have been nothing short of dominant inside the 20 this year. So, again, I think Rex Ryan said it best. And because we have over 300 of you tuning in live right now concurrently, just in case you missed this from earlier on, here's what Rex Ryan had to say about not only the Ravens offense, but first-year defensive coordinator Zach Orr earlier today on Sunday NFL Countdown.
Best team in the NFL. And I get it. They're 1-2. You heard the stat about the worst pass defense in the league. I ain't buying it. You got a coordinator that's coaching out of a book. It's going to take him a little while to get caught up to speed. I'm just telling you, the defense coordinator for the Ravens, Orr, I believe, Zach Orr. But anyhow, I mean, I'm
so
just
why are they the
telling you,
best team in the
they're
league?
the best team in the league because nobody can stop their run. All right, and they figured it out. You got Derrick Henry, by the way. Is he going to get dehydrated? Oh, yes, he is. I told you he's going to get dehydrated against Dallas. He's going to get dehydrated again today. I mean, I'm sorry, but this team is so talented and so physical and way ahead of it. Scheme-wise, it's a brilliant scheme. We've seen some shots of it. Alex, you had some stuff on it. I'm just telling you, it's almost impossible to defend. And this team, once that defense catches up, I think they could be the best team in the league.
I've been muting this entire time.
That's all right.
I was in the middle of a damn good thought,
I know,
too.
you were.
I've been muted that entire time. Are you serious?
Yep.
Sorry, guys. See, that's why I need a producer. Unbelievable. Anyway, what I was getting at there was in response to Rex. It was essentially acknowledging, much like 2 years ago, Mike McDonald, when bullets were flying, was learning on the fly. Even though he had a year of experience in Michigan, Zach Orr trying to simulate life as a full-time defensive coordinator at the NFL level is very different than calling plays in the preseason, being a linebackers coach and making observations from afar. And so I think that's required some patience. And as he gets his feet from underneath him, you'll see the blitz rate will become more aggressive. He'll have more of a feel. And so all those things are a work in progress.
Yeah, I think so. Like we were talking about, the zone defense needs to tighten up a little bit. The man coverage seems to be good early in the game.
Yeah.
And their plan seems to be good. It's just about adjusting and making the correct adjustments as you get into the later in the games, especially when you got the lead. You know what they say, playing that prevent defense prevents you from winning.
No doubt.
So, and that's what I've seen the last couple of years. Even with McDonald, we've had our lapses late in games, whereas if we just tighten those up a little bit, I think we're unstoppable.
What's your prediction?
My prediction? I like Baltimore 35-28.
Oh, you think it's going up over 30?
Oh, I think so.
Woo.
Oh, yeah.
What you sipping on tonight?
Right here, man. It's some six-pack punch.
Show everybody what you got, because that's a Be More Around Town staple right
That's
here.
right.
You got a little mixy.
Yeah, a little mixy,
There you go.
Six-pack punch.
Bring that tailgate back down with you.
Oh, my goodness, man. I tell you, when I'm down in Miami and the Ravens are down in Miami and I go, the flock travels so well.
I'm sure.
And we have a blast.
We appreciate you traveling
Thank
well,
you.
Howard from Florida,
Appreciate
West
you.
Palm, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
I will.
And good luck tonight.
And if you need an extra ticket, I got you.
Okay, that's good to know. My father they're actually looking for two. My father and this Buffalo fan right now, but if you have one, that's fine.
Yeah, I got one, section 134.
Awesome.
Row 12.
Good
so
to know.
I got pretty good seats.
Appreciate you.
All right, man.
You know what's
Appreciate
funny, though?
Yeah.
The one thing that I had, not many people know this, I have actually only been to one Ravens game in my entire life.
Really?
And it was in London.
Man.
Here's the deal. When I go as a member of the press corps, or I used to.
Yeah.
When you do pre-post, it's just impossible to go to the game if you
Yeah.
want to do a post-game show that starts right after.
Yeah.
So literally the only game I've ever been to is not even on U.S. soil.
Wow.
It was in London last year. So anyway.
I was up here last year for Detroit when we stomped the hole
good.
and then.
That was unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
Well, appreciate you, dude.
Appreciate you, man.
Enjoy the rest of the night.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to continue this guest line move, and that is Howard from West Palm. We appreciate his time. Listen to what, let's see here. Listen to what Lamar said earlier in the week on Marlon Humphrey. You all remember the Instagram Live from the plane ride back from Dallas. This was certainly a topic point throughout the week.
Marlo, I just didn't want the camera on me at the time, because he know this, I'm all about winning, and I don't want to say winning style, but I just want to, when we're up, I just want to punish people. I just want to get out of there with a dub, clear-minded, we got things to work on. There's always going to be things to work on, no matter if you beat a team 40-0 or 22-26, or 28-26, but it's like, I ain't want the camera on me, like, that's my brother, I know he gonna do what he do, but it's like, man, not right now. I'm a little ticked off, like how the game went. That's all.
So when you say you guys got to get right, what does that look like to you?
Just playing Raven football, putting points on the board. Those guys on the other side of our defense, just stopping people, and it's like, man, the Ravens didn't take their foot off their necks. That's pretty much how I look at games with us.
All right, that is Lamar Jackson at his press conference earlier this week, and of course it was discussed a lot, as it should have been. It's just yet another example of defiant Lamar Jackson. That's the way that Sarah and I have coined it throughout this year. Last year it was locked in. This year it's defiant. He understands what's at stake. He understands what needs to happen in order to get to where they want to be, and ultimately through 3 weeks they're not where they want to be yet. Back to the in-person guest lines, and my friend from Arizona, Brian Spar, he and his wife came in from literally Arizona for this game, and I appreciate you for coming to the tailgate, Brian. Thank you for all the support. You heard Lamar earlier this week. What's your reaction as a fan?
Well, I think, the Ravens are still trying to establish themselves, in terms of offense, and he's facing lots of criticism. The one thing that surprised me is they really didn't use the option much the first 2 weeks. which seemed like it would be incredibly powerful with King Henry and him.
Yeah.
And then they went to it last week, and the results were really good. But still, as I look at the Ravens, we still really don't know about them. Are they the Ravens of the first three quarters against Dallas, or are they the Ravens of the last quarters against Dallas and Las Vegas? And time will tell, and I think today will be a big game in terms of showing whether they really are championship caliber. I certainly hope and think that they will be.
Listen to Todd Monken earlier this week, Ravens offensive coordinator, talking play calling from late in the second half in Dallas.
One that I would say wasn't nearly as aggressive as I wanted would have been the third down call before the field goal attempt. That one there was really okay if we get it. If not, it gets us to a 4-score game, really, is what we were thinking. Sure, there's out of 60 calls, there's a number of calls I always wish, like, okay, would have done that different, would have done that different. That's just human. That's never going to change. It's not the first or the last time. The next drive that we got it, we just didn't convert on third down. The next drive that we got it, on third down, we did throw it. And then, to me, the other thing is trusting the players. Because like I told the guys, like the last play of the game that sealed it, to me, that's not conservative in that call, because you're going to trust your players for ball handling and security. Because you're not just handing the ball off, you're reading it, you're putting it in, and you got to trust the players, because you can't put the ball on the ground, right? So to me, those are plays that do take that. And sure, I don't disagree with Lamar. We want to keep the pedal down because you don't want to leave even the door open. So I'm not disagreeing there. And there are certain calls I wish we could have been a little bit more aggressive.
Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken chatting with the media on Thursday and kind of acknowledging that there were a couple plays he'd like back, as everybody would. The bottom line is, I think he's been a tremendous addition to this team. We will always nitpick a handful of plays after a loss or a close win or a collapse or anything along those lines. But ultimately, all these guys are trying to figure out as a staff, as an offensive staff, how are we going to use Derrick Henry to the best of his ability with Lamar, whether it's in the RPO game, whether it's in the read option game, whatever that might be, whether it be at the I formation. We've seen a lot of that, obviously. But ultimately, what's our identity? And through 3 weeks, still a work in progress.
It really is. I mean, when Monken came to Baltimore, people look back at his 2 years in Georgia, and it seemed like all his plays worked.
Yeah.
He was an incredible play caller. Of course, his talent was incredible compared to who he was playing against. And, his play calling has been much better, but it still needs to improve.
Bottom line is, look at your top 5 in rushing yards entering this weekend, not as things currently stand. And by the way, we will take a look at what took place in the AFC North today, because the unbeaten is no longer. The Steelers go down, and guess who they go down to? The Indianapolis Colts, who are led by Anthony Richardson. But if you guys watched what I watched, you would have seen in the first quarter, AR-15 couldn't go after injuring his hip, and here comes number 15. Actually, is Joe? What number is Joe?
He's 15.
Is he? Okay.
I guess because Richardson's 5, so he couldn't get 5.
Okay. The bottom line is, yet again, Joe Flacco helping out his former team, indirectly taking down the Pittsburgh Steelers for their first loss of the year. Can you believe the Cleveland Browns willingly let this guy walk last year just because Deshaun Watson felt uncomfortable? I thought that was one of the more pathetic things, but guess what? Can't say I'm surprised with that organization.
Yes.
Can you?
No.
So anyway, hey, hit me with your prediction, Brian, before you get out of here.
31-20 Ravens.
31-20 Ravens.
Although,
okay,
it remains to be seen. Buffalo has been good, but they really haven't played that hard a schedule, and the Ravens have been up and down.
Okay,
and hopefully they will continue on the upswing.
Good deal, Brian. I appreciate you for coming on. I appreciate you and Linda for making the trip out. You guys are tremendous supporters, and we, Sarah and I both, we always see your name pop up We appreciate you spend so much virtual time with us, and I hope you and Linda both enjoy the rest of your time in Baltimore.
Okay, thanks, and
All
thanks for having me.
Absolutely, anytime. All right, let's get to Von Miller talking Lamar and the Ravens.
First game when they played the Kansas City Chiefs in that first drive, it just looked scary. I just say that, just keeping it 100. You know, it just looks scary with the type of offensive line that they have, and you got Derrick Henry back there, and Lamar Jackson always has the threat to take the ball and run it. And I think on that very first drive with the Chiefs, they ran 6 or 7 plays, all runs, and it was straight down the field and into the end zone. And I remember watching the game on TV, and I was like, this is going to be a problem. And it has been. It has been throughout 4 weeks of the season. You know, you can't sit here and say it's not. And that's something that we definitely got to have on the top of the priority. Derrick Henry is his own monster in itself. I trained with Derrick Henry in the offseason at Sanders Fit in Dallas. So I know what type of guy he is. I know what type of special player he is. And Lamar Jackson, everybody knows about Lamar Jackson, league MVP, one of the most dynamic players that ever play in this game. Not just quarterback. You can't even just put him in a box as a quarterback. He's greater than that. One of the most dynamic players to ever play this game, and he can throw the ball too. So both of those guys present, you know, unique challenges. And then you got Zay Flowers. He can take a 2-yard screen to the end zone. You know, they got a succession of tight ends and utility players too. You know, Ricard and Likely and Mark Andrews, when he gets rolling, they have a really tough offense. And
Von Miller with some very complimentary words of Lamar Jackson and this Ravens offense coming into Week 4. By the way, I know a lot of you are probably watching the 425 games as I'm live. Maybe you got a 2-screen late evening going on leading up to Sunday Night Football. Wow, look at what the Commanders are doing to the Cardinals on their home turf. 35-14. They just punched in another one. Oof. And what's going on in Las Vegas for the Browns? They're down in Vegas. Okay. We've got a familiar face coming on the channel. You may remember him from the Indianapolis game, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, last year. Was it? No. Was it Indianapolis or Detroit? I think you came on the Detroit game, didn't you? Anyway.
I don't think so.
Frank Trosset.
Can't remember that.
Back inside the broadcast booth here. Let's get some light on that face so that everybody can see the resemblance. And I'll even move over a little bit to get you out of the dark. It is starting to get a little dark here. Pre-daylight savings, but well, what a crew. We've got Metzi, of course, that's already come on for the Buffalo perspective. We've had Brian Spar on from Arizona, and we've got you mixing it up not only throughout the tailgate, but throughout Baltimore, including a Fed Hill sighting from you last night.
That's true. I'm not sure what the gentleman from Arizona was giving out tonight, but here for the upstate perspective, anti-Bills, looking for a big Ravens victory tonight. I'll be sitting next to our boy Metzi here from Buffalo, who's a big diehard Bills fan. So it could be a long night for him, I hope.
By the way, some guy named Howard, who's in from Florida, he just offered up a ticket. I said, "You got 2 of them?" And he goes, "It's section 134. That's pretty clean living, but he's only got 1 of them. Why don't you ditch his ass and go sit there by yourself?" Anyway, the goal of tonight's segment here with my father, if you're just tuning in, is hopefully to get through this without my dating life popping up. I don't feel great about the thought or likelihood of that happening, but we'll see. Let's talk football first and foremost, though. By the way, your Commanders, or at least at one point was your Commanders as a Georgetown grad, are absolutely throttling the Arizona Cardinals. What's going on in Vegas right now? Do you have an updated score? Because I haven't been able to multitask both, but they got the Browns on the ropes right now in the 425
yes,
game.
They're up by 3, I believe.
So, anyway. Okay, so going into tonight, 2 blue-collar towns, 2 proud franchises, 2 elite quarterbacks. What are we thinking?
As I've been telling Bobby's friend Metzi there, the Buffalo Bills JV schedule is over starting tonight. So they've had the JV portion of their schedule is over. 3 easy wins. Tonight they move up in class. I believe the Ravens will put it all together tonight for 4 quarters. I'm looking at a 24-10 victory by the Ravens. Josh Allen, his weapons are limited.
I knew you were sipping on those screwdrivers already.
The last time I was here was for a 1 o'clock game. I had a few screwdrivers by the time I came on air. Tonight it's a little more casual, but
we will. By the way, we will open up the Q&A for my father, Frank Trosset here. The first one is from Zinks. He wants to know when Papa Trosset's going to have his own weekly segment. Zinks, listen, this is the last thing I wanted to deal with.
I love you, Zinks.
Zinks, because here's the problem. He's going to be talking about this idea. It's going to be up in my grill for the next, year. That's all he's talked about since the Detroit game last year, is that you wanted a segment. They want me back. They want me back.
Where are you from, Zinks? We need to know where you're from. I'm going to look you up, buddy.
So, sorry, you were saying about the game itself.
24-10. I'm picking Ravens 24-10. Good defensive effort. I think the Bills are a little bit lacking on the offensive skill positions, excepting Josh Allen, obviously. So I think the Ravens play a full game, put it all together, get to 2-2, and the Bills come back to earth a little bit.
Here's the problem, though. They may not have the firepower in terms of what they once did with Stephon, but as we're seeing throughout his career, he is an up-and-down player. He ran himself out of Minnesota, runs himself out of Buffalo, and ultimately – we'll never question his talent. We're questioning his fit with organizations. And so it seems to me, looking at this team from afar, especially with Josh Allen getting up in the media and speaking as freely as he's ever have as a pro, distributing the football more so than ever before, they may not need that firepower. So they may not have your bona fide number one, but they got strength in numbers, as they say in Golden State. And It just kind of feels like that's working out for them. But to your point, it has been a JV schedule so far.
But I understand they've had eight different targets. He's had 8 different players have received or been on the receiving end of passes from Josh Allen. The most anybody's got all season long, total, 150 yards. 150 yards, their leading receiver, 150 yards. So I think shutdown night. Kyle Hamilton comes up big time tonight. We said in Buffalo, I said, I'll be driving Messi to the airport tomorrow morning, and I'm going to enjoy every minute of that. Believe me, folks, I will enjoy every minute of that.
So Messi is Mark from earlier on, who had the Buffalo shirt on, a Loyola classmate of mine who's in town from Rochester. And let's just say this, from the moment I picked this guy up at the BWI on Friday night, he's just come in guns blazing. I know you want nothing more than to drop his sorry sack of an ass off coming off a loss tomorrow morning.
I want to see him. I'm going to put him on that couch tonight. I'm going to get the bed. He gets the couch and Bobby's pad. So that's what's on the line tonight for this game. But, go Ravens. It's been a nice weekend. I was down here for the last final parents' weekend at Loyola. 4th child in his senior year of school. So we're getting that done. I was in Fed Hill way too late last night. But feeling good tonight for another late night here in the Charm City.
Yeah, Fed Hill, we were on a crossbar. For those of you who are familiar with the area, that's the final parents' weekend, if you will, for your youngest, my youngest brother, which is sort of what you just alluded to. We went from crossbar to we started at Riverside Tap House, then we went to crossbar, then we went to Watershed, which was totally unnecessary because it was already after midnight. Metzi was living it up. John was 5 sheets, and we were having ourselves a night. So anything you'd like to close with before you jump?
Well, I can't go without saying. I mean, it's an annual recruitment on my part for my oldest son, who's now 30, right? 3-0, just turned 3-0 in July. Still steady.
How's that feel, by the way, as a soon-to-be 62-year-old with a now 30-year-old oldest? What's that feeling like?
I think our fellow subscribers out there know the feeling. It's not a good feeling, all right? Especially when the 30-year-old is coming up empty on the grandchild front right now. As I said last year, I'm looking to coach into my 70s and 80s. My grandkids develop some more point guards like I like to do. Get Bobby said, he's 30. He's still going strong. All you mothers and fathers out there, hit him up. Hit him up with a young daughter. He's a good man.
This is an absolute given every single time he comes on. He thinks that I'm in desperate mode, and he wants to just send out my bachelor application, just straight up PSA. Hey, he's single. He's a sack of shit. He's pathetic.
Watch that mouth, Robert. He's got a dog to boot, too, a very nice dog named Tilly. So,
Thank you for bringing her back down, by the way. Tilly is back with me for the fall, and we're looking forward to it. So,
good luck, Ravens, tonight. We'll be back for a second game before the season's out, and keep hitting them up for my own show, Ziggy. I love it.
Zinks.
Have a good night.
Zinks.
Zigs.
All right, you enjoy it. Hey, you know what, too? Let's just take a look and let everybody know what's going on. We got picture taking happening. Metzi right now is taking photos for random Ravens fans. Okay, the guy's never met a stranger in his life, my Loyola classmate.
They're waving.
You've got the purple lights in the distance. The banks look. It's a blackout game tonight. What happened?
No one told me.
Okay. Well, the Banks, we're a little over an hour away from this, about an hour and a half away from kickoff. There's not a lot of teams that do primetime football the way the Ravens do. And just seeing the stadium, which is about a quarter of a mile from where we are right now, lit up in purple, just tells you what's coming tonight. Sunday Night Football, John Harbaugh is 20-3 in those games, primetime-wise, since 2008.
Wow.
If history repeats itself, I like their favor tonight. But
Bobby did not pick them, correct, folks?
I did not. They know that.
His father did, so
we'll see what
I'll
happens.
Sign off on that note.
All right.
Take care, folks.
Appreciate you. Pops, go enjoy yourself. Another screwdriver. Hope you still got the spare key in your pocket. Good Lord, where's that going to end up tonight? No idea. The dancing's going to start. Metsy's over here loving it. And all 400 plus of you hopefully are enjoying the show. So good to be with you guys here at Be More Around Town, just blocks away from M&T Bank Stadium as we work our way up to kickoff. Have inactives come out yet? Let's take a close look and see as we do this on the fly. The guest lines are open, by the way. I have a pinned comment in the live chat if you would like to join. Let's do this. There's a screen share feature that I'll use because, as I'm learning, courtesy of Twitter, inactives are out. So what we will do is this. Let's work on the fly to get you them. By the way, let me know how the connectivity is tonight, guys. I'm working on something different with my hotspot. So let me know how the experience is tonight, okay? The Ravens inactives are out, and here you have it. Bo Braid, the undrafted rookie out of Maryland, not a surprise. Michael Pierce, who was downgraded to out over the weekend with a shoulder, not a surprise. Nick Samak, reserve offensive lineman, a rookie, out, not a surprise. Andrew Voorhees, also not a surprise, who was seen with a walking boot earlier in the week, did not practice. And now Andrew all of a sudden is going to put the Ravens in a position where they got to get creative at starting left guard. And Devontae Walker, I'm sorry to say, and I don't think maybe some of you who have been paying attention will be surprised at this. I don't think he's NFL ready at this point. He's a former fourth rounder from UNC, somebody who has a vertical ability, somebody who has a ton of speed, hopefully somebody who has a high ceiling. But the bottom line is his floor is not where it needs to be right now in the early going of his NFL career. And as a result, he is yet again a healthy scratch. So that's where we stand. Let's take a look at what the reporters are saying when it comes to starting lineups. Ken McCusick weighing in here. In a mild surprise, Saleh, the second-year tackle out of Oregon, is active over Samak for the 8th offensive line spot with Voorhees down. Linderbaum will play despite his questionable status. And we don't know, again, if we're going to see Ben Cleveland, Patrick McCary, or Josh Jones at left guard. We'll have to wait and see in terms of starting lineups, which should be coming out here shortly in terms of, again, what's going on the field. Jonas Schaefer noting that Adisa Isaac, the rookie out of Penn State at the outside linebacker position, along with TJ Tampa, are both going to be making their NFL debuts tonight. We know Devontae, Samak, and Bo Braid are your 3 healthy scratches. Just trying to make sure we've got you fully up to speed in terms of what's going on. Here's the Buffalo inactives from Joe Buscaglia a little while ago. Will Clapp, Terrell Bernard, as Mark told us. I don't even know how to pronounce that linebacker's name, to be quite honest. Taron Johnson, who's a big loss, and Mike Edwards are going to be down for the Buffalo side of things. So all we're really waiting for at this point is those warm-ups, those starting offensive line warm-ups. And so we'll just continue to monitor things. And if those of you that are scrolling both have new and fresh information, just give me a heads up on it. The guest lines are open. Strokes, would love to bring you in if you're ready to go. There is a access link that I have included pinned comment-wise in the live chat. So if you guys want to pop on and say a quick word, please do so. And we're here at Be More Around Town, just outside M&T Bank Stadium. We're taking you up until around 7:30 or so. So good to have you guys with me tonight. Like the video if you're enjoying tonight's show. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And hit that notification bell so that you can be notified of when I'm dropping my live content. Strokes Drew Joyner. That's a mouthful right there. And I'm sure you got a mouthful coming up for me right now in terms of content. What you got for me? Thank you for the call tonight.
Let's go Ravens, baby. Hopefully
Lamar.
Hopefully Lamar I got Lamar 85 yards tonight rushing.
Okay. He's
Yeah.
closing in, by the way. He's on pace to become the all-time leader in rush yards for a quarterback this season.
Well, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I'm one of his biggest critics. I always say he's a glorified running back, but I want him to prove me wrong.
Okay, wait a second now. I'm sorry, because somebody was just dropping off a
You're
gift
good.
for
You're
me.
good. You're good.
He's a glorified what?
I said he is my quarterback. I'm one of his biggest critics. He is. I say I'm one of the people that say he's a glorified running back. I want him to prove me wrong.
Okay, now wait a second. And everybody's obviously entitled to their opinion. At this point in his career, coming off a reigning MVP season, what makes you think that a glorified quarterback's a fair label that's attached to him? I'm asking you just objectively.
I just don't think his accuracy is all the way there yet, and his pocket presence isn't all the way there yet. He shows it sometimes, but I need more consistency.
I think you're nitpicking, but I'm with you on some of those things. I think from a
I am nitpicking because I nitpick because I said, I'm one of his biggest critics. That is my quarterback, but I want him to prove me wrong.
Okay, fair enough, brother. I appreciate you calling in tonight. What's your prediction?
28-21 Baltimore.
28-21 Baltimore. Thanks for the
Yes,
call,
sir.
my friend. Talk to you soon. So, yeah, I thought that was nitpicking. I thought that was a little nitpicking. Look, if you watch the QB School with JT O'Sullivan, who does a tremendous job, by the way, you'll see when you're nitpicking, you see things like some footwork issues, some accuracy outside the numbers earlier on in his career, the deep ball game. There's definitely been miscommunication and a lack of chemistry there, whether it's him and Bateman, him and Andrews this year. That has been really a non-factor for them as an offensive staple. But the glorified running back, I don't know, Strokes. Not sure if I can get there with you. And you know I'm as objective as anybody in this media game. I say things that people do not appreciate when it comes to their Ravens because I call it like it is. But again, I appreciate the call. The guest lines are wide open right now, and here's what we're working towards. Prime time at the bank. Inside M&T Bank Stadium, Mark Ingram will, of course, be the Ravens legend of the game, which is always exciting. And since 2008, John Harbaugh's Ravens have produced an NFL-best 20-3 overall record in prime-time home games. They've got a plus 237 scoring margin over those 23. 623 points equates to 27.1 per contest, and they're allowing just 16.8 as a defense. Just making sure that we're getting fresh and caught up to speed in terms of information coming in from this one. And let's go around the league in terms of what's happened both in the AFC North and obviously with Joe Flacco. What an unbelievable story this guy is. Anthony Richardson gets taken out of the game with a hip injury, and he leads his Indianapolis Colts, to a victory at home. I'm going to go back to the screen share feature so that you guys can all follow along with me. And courtesy of ESPN.com, let's take a look at what's taking place so far today as the Ravens get ready to close things down. Although we do have a Monday Night Football doubleheader. A few more games that are still actively being played as we speak. The 425s are coming down to the wire here. In San Fran, they're trying to close out the Patriots 30-13. The Raiders are trying to upset Cleveland 20-16. A lot of time left in that game. Of course, Cleveland at 1-2 with Baltimore. The Chiefs and Chargers are tied up at 10 apiece. That's a low-scoring affair. I really haven't had a chance to watch these games, by the way, because I've been out here at Be More Around Town, obviously. This is the game that we're working towards, of course. The Falcons, in a last-second thriller, beat the Saints 26-24. Both of those teams are 2-2. Chicago takes down the Rams 24-18. Caleb Williams and company improved to 2-2. Sean McVay and Stafford dropped to 1-3. How about the Minnesota Vikings? How can you not be happy for Sam Darnold? This is a tremendous story. And the Vikings might be a problem because I think they got one of the best young up-and-coming coaches in this league in Kevin O'Connell. They take down the Packers 31-29. Now, I know this game was within major that was not within reach for a long time, and the fact that it was a 2-point difference when it was all said and done, Minnesota almost Baltimore'd, if you will. But luckily they hung on for the Vikings, 31-29. They are unbeaten at 4-0. The Colts, like I mentioned, led by Joe Flacco, who comes in for an injured Anthony Richardson, take down the Steelers on their home turf, 27-24, handing Pittsburgh its first loss of the season. They are 3-1, still atop the AFC North, and Indianapolis improves to 2-2. It's laughable that Cleveland let Joe Flacco walk after what he did for them down the stretch last year when Deshaun Watson was unavailable. It is laughable, and it is pathetic. And it says a lot about the DNA and makeup of their quarterback. This is probably the clunker of today, because if you're an Aaron Rodgers fan, if you are a New York Jets fan, I'm guessing you're probably needing to be convinced not to take a walk tonight. You're leaning, you're having some thoughts tonight, some possible Sunday scaries that are probably pretty intense right now after losing to Denver at home. And yes, a horrifically weather kind of day up there with sideways rain and a soaked turf and whatnot. But Bo Nix and company and Sean Payton take down the Jets 10-9. What a stinker that one was. Tampa Bay beat up on the Eagles 33-16. What a dominant performance for Baker Mayfield and company. And then another AFC North game that we should all care about since he gets its first win of the year in a game they had to have. Andy Dalton, of course, reunites with his former franchise. Panthers fall to the Bengals 34-24 since he's now 1-3 overall on the year. Houston takes down the Jaguars in a wire-to-wire game that came down to the end. Houston 24-20 thanks to C.J. Stroud, game winner. Big-time play from C.J. And if you're Jacksonville, I would imagine seats are starting to get hot. And the Commanders and Cliff Kingsbury, who's got that offense humming, and Jaden Daniels coming off a Monday night performance, taking down Cincy, picked up right where they left off. They destroy the Cardinals on their home turf, 42-14 in Arizona. We all saw the Cowboys get back in the win column on Thursday night against the Giants. And tomorrow night we've got the Titans at Miami and the Seahawks at Detroit. I'm looking forward to watching this game selfishly because I obviously want to see what Mike McDonald is about. And that is your look around the NFL as of 7:06. The guest lines are open. Josh has been waiting. Oh, you're having yourself a night down there in the waiting room, Josh. I got a stogie right off to my right. You're making me want to light one up with you. But
this is the hookah.
Time caller, you got a hookah going tonight. What's going on?
I deserve it, man. I've been using the chainsaw, doing stuff my wife tells me all day. So now I'm just down in the man cave.
Nice.
With no accountability.
Where are you calling in from?
Home, Baltimore.
Oh, nice. All right, so talk to me.
You've never seen me in person, but you probably remember my name because I used to give you and Sarah a really hard time a couple of years ago. Back Greg Roman. Do you remember?
What's going on behind me right now?
I don't know.
We got confetti going on right now. I'm getting confetti on me right now. Did we win something big? Sorry to interrupt your train of thought, Josh. I'm just taking it in because what happens is when you want the stadium in the background, like you see right here, that means my back is obviously to it the entire time. So this is like a dope atmosphere out here right now. You've got confetti. You've got cigars off to my left, the open bar to my right, a stage directly across. This place is jumping. So just wanted to let everybody know, BeMoreAroundTown.com is where you can get your tailgate passes. I will be here for the foreseeable future, every single home game, doing pregame shows. Would love to see you guys out here tonight, like the Arizona folks came in, Florida folks came in for this. So I just wanted to make sure to give them their due. And sorry, Josh, go ahead.
The reason I called is I haven't really talked to you for a while or gotten feedback from you for a while, but I've been watching you evolve the last couple of years. And I was wondering how maybe you could summarize any changes you've had in your overall view of the Ravens, like John Harbaugh. Remember there was the Greg Roman days, Lamar Jackson. Over the last 2-3 years, has there been a shift? Because I think I detected a shift in you. But I wanted to ask you about it rather than just.
I think I know what you're getting at.
Yeah.
So a lot of that shift had to do with, obviously, let's be clear, the reality is when you work for the Ravens flagship stations, as I did for several years, not only was I cutting my teeth in broadcasting, but you are a direct partner with the team. And so there comes rules and regulations with that. And I'm not saying that you can't tell it like it is, but certainly there are advantages and disadvantages to doing so. And so I think when I got shown the door in 22, not only was it fulfilling and sort of gratifying to kind of start my own thing and build it up and have a tremendous partner with Sarah, but it also gives you this refreshing attitude about the way in which you view the team. You take a step aside, you can really look at it from 1,000 feet up. And so we still try to be super fair, I feel like. We are pro Ravens in a lot of different areas. And yet the shift that I think you're probably detecting is, I've been frustrated with some of the messaging out of John Harbaugh in recent, say, months, dating back to last year. And so when I see the selflessness and some of the accountability taken from Monken at his press conference and Orr at his press conference and Lamar and other players, I wish sometimes we could see, particularly coming off the Raiders loss, I wish sometimes we could get more of that from Harbaugh rather than defiant, petty Harbaugh. And so I can still say that while having tremendous admiration, tremendous respect for what he's built here the last 15 plus years, what he's turned himself into, what he's extended this franchise into. And ultimately, I'm not one of the guys that's calling. That scared the shit out of me right now. The wind is just popping right now. And there's these words, be more behind me. What are you doing? The wind is flying in right now. And sorry, I just lost my train of thought because these pieces of wood behind me just started banging into my setup. So anyway, I can still appreciate and admire everything he's doing and what he's done, but I'm not one calling for his head because I think an in-season change would, one, quite frankly, be reckless. Two, it would be premature. But ultimately, one of the things I'm monitoring, and I know I'm rambling here, Josh, so I want to get you back in here, and then I have more guests to get through as well. But ultimately, what I'm monitoring from this point forward is the way that he is received in the locker room. And obviously I'm not in there, so that's what we have to kind of watch from afar. We have to have our conversations internally when we can. That's what I'm watching, because until he loses the locker room, until he can no longer relate as one of the oldest head coaches in the league at this point with Belichick and Carroll gone, I don't feel like that there should be a change, because I just think that, where do you go from there? He's instilled this culture. He's instilled a sense of pride with this organization. And so that's really a long way of saying I want him to see it through. I want him to see through the Lamar era. But if these concerning trends continue, then tough conversations have to be had.
I think that's fair. I'm sort of pulled in two directions. I have this responsible Ken McCusick side where I'm respecting the processes and all of the good accumulation of work. But then I'm sort of this, anti-establishment, and I'm not super delighted with how the offense has been handled with Lamar. I put it like this. In 2018, when I felt like everybody was ready to turn on Harbaugh, I was saying, what a shame, because he should get a shot with another QB. And he did. But now I'm wondering, maybe Lamar should get another shot with another head coach with a different type of attitude, different type of offense. I don't want him fired in the middle of the season. I don't want the Ravens to go off their heads and, be precipitous and quick to action and hasty. No. But I'm open to change. That's all. And it sounds like you are open to the idea too. That's all. So that's cool.
I'm always open to change. And quite frankly, obviously it's really difficult. But, sometimes when you're open to change, you don't realize, wait a second, once that one massive change takes place, the amount of change that's going to come with it. And with change sometimes comes patience. Sometimes comes an entirely new way of organizing a franchise. And so I know some of you are saying, Harbaugh is going to leave at his own terms, on his own terms. Look, let's not forget that Lamar, in a sense, saved his job 6+ years ago. Bisciotti was open about the idea of at least considering firing him before Lamar came in. And so when you keep that in mind, that he's not just walking on water in that organization, right? Like there are standards to be upheld, and ultimately the timing is really tough here, right? I know a lot of you have probably wrestled back and forth with the idea that the next young, great mind walked out of the building this offseason, right? And you were right. He is the next young, great, up-and-coming mind. And that's Mike McDonald, who's now in Seattle with a fantastic situation going on in there. Even though Geno's not going to be his next 10-year starter, right? He's got stability. He's got longevity. He's got a great contract. He's got a great environment around him, core players, and they'll get at a quarterback along the lines. But it never would have made any kind of sense from a business standpoint as an owner to can the head coach who just got back to the AFC title game for the first time in the Lamar era. You just can't. It's not going to work. Like, that's not how this works. And so Mike was a hot commodity. He was the most coveted head coach or head coaching candidate this past offseason. And the timing ultimately, you hope, doesn't go back to become their Achilles heel. And you wonder what if for years and years and years. But that's really all you can do, right?
I'll let you go, but my final thought is I wish somehow they could have set up the Eric DaCosta arrangement with McDonald, made him the heir apparent somehow. But obviously it wasn't going to happen. Anyway, thank you, Bobby. I appreciate it.
Josh, I appreciate you for calling in, brother. Thanks so much for the support. And the guest lines are open right now. I know that was a very long-winded answer from me. Josh got me talking about a number of big-picture items. So thank you, guys. And the live chat's been fantastic tonight. We've got over 500 of you concurrently watching tonight. If you haven't already done so, please do the following. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when I'm dropping my live content, and connect with me across social media platforms outside of YouTube. That is Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you name it, at Bobby Baltimore. All right? We are just over an hour away from the start of Sunday Night Football. Did Cleveland lose? Let's go a refresher. I see the 425 games are coming down to the wire here, and it looks like Cleveland is heading in the direction of a loss. Oh, my God. Bring Joe Flacco back, you friggin'. I tell you, what the hell is wrong with Cleveland as an organization? Joe literally saved their entire season, and then what do? Oh, you know what? We want to make sure that we coddle our franchise quarterback who hasn't played in multiple years, a full season, and who we owe an ungodly amount of money, and who has lawsuits and legal issues up the ass. We want to make sure we coddle and massage his shoulders moving forward. Pun intended. Just unbelievable organizational decision-making there. You let Joe Flacco walk. Sure, he's 39 or close to 40. Sure, he's on the back nine of his career, but damn it, this guy can still sling it, and he showed you why today in Indianapolis. The guest lines are open. There is a pinned comment if you want to pop on the channel and share a word before Sunday Night Football. Michael, you've been holding for a minute. I appreciate you for doing so, and welcome in.
Hey, Bobby, back once again.
Yes, sir. What you got for me tonight?
Oh, yeah. Once I saw that take that they were doing on Lamar, I had to chime in on that because it's like the disrespect always pops up back again. They want to jump on the Josh Allen bandwagon. The problem that I specifically had was about talking about, how he's on this already on the MVP trail and everything like that. And how much they trust him and everything. And I'm just like, they forget that Lamar is a two-time MVP. And that if you look at if Lamar was asked to throw as much as Josh does, there's no doubt in my mind that he could do it. His percentage completions is higher than Josh Allen's. I know that he throws more or whatever the case may be, but I'm sure that he can do it. And the only other thing I wanted to say is that I hope tonight, since it is prime time, that he does show that and they get a W based off his performance. So that everybody can see that, guess what? It doesn't matter who it is across the field from him. We're still going to come up with the win, because no matter what y'all are saying about John Harbaugh, he does have him prepared for big time games. You can say that about him at least.
There's no question. And that's one of those things that maybe goes under the radar, right? While it has been underwhelming from a postseason standpoint over the last 12, 13, 10 plus years, he gets it done under the lights. He's 20-3 in home primetime games. There is a competitive advantage when you play inside the bank on nights like these, and you got to hope you got to hope that tonight is not an exception to that statement. So, again, it's a full circle. I always try to push back on the Harbaugh conversation because it's so easy to push for change and not think about what's required when said change is made. And that's not to be a homer. That's not to be an apologist. That's like literally looking at a hiring cycle and realizing, are you bringing in a 70, is he 72, 70, Bill Belichick? Like, I just don't see why that. Part of the knock on him coming off of the end of his New England tenure was that he wasn't relating to the locker room. Well, no shit, he's over 70 years old. It's like there's no disputing that he's the GOAT. I'm not here to do that in any way. He's the GOAT. But ultimately, when Tom left, he was a shell of himself, and he's not getting any younger. And so when you look around the league, there's been an influx of young, like-minded Kevin O'Connells, Sean McVays, LaFleurs, Mike McDonald's, things that, guys like that who maybe they're not former players. I don't think Antonio Pierce, by the way, he's had some signature wins, including against the Ravens right here down the block. But I don't view him as sort of like a long-standing NFL head coach. I don't see that yet. Hopefully he proves me wrong. But there is an influx of youth. And so if there were to be a change, which I'd always be open to, and if Lamar plays for the next 10 years, Michael, we're going to see him with a new regime. That's just going to happen. That's the reality of it. John's not getting any younger, and I don't see him coaching forever. But ultimately, change comes with significant patience, and oftentimes, obviously, a lot that follows that requirement-wise. So
that was kind of my point to the last time we had a conversation about it, because they're all jumping about, okay, fire him. But what do you have to do when it comes to that? Are you getting a guy from outside, which means that the whole process in the locker room has to be changed. The whole atmosphere and everything else. It's not just going to be an overnight change and everything plugs and plays. You know what I mean? So I think it's like the grass is greener type of mentality that a lot of our fans have. Yeah,
no doubt. Michael, I appreciate you for calling in back-to-back weeks, and enjoy the game tonight, all right? We'll catch you post-game.
Appreciate you too. Okay.
Catch you post-game. Yeah, perfect. By the way, post-game, as everybody knows, is coming up just following this one. We probably won't go live on the Vault until midnight Eastern. That's just the way it goes tonight. From this point forward, pregame shows will be exclusively streamed on the Bobby Baltimore channel, whereas postgame will be exclusively on the Vault. Just for housekeeping purposes, make sure you guys keep that in mind. Back to the guest lines we go. You can call in using the link that I have included, pinned comment in the live chat. And I want to make sure I'm pronouncing your first name right here, Dean, but I'm going with Dean for now, and you can help guide me on this one. But thanks for the call. How you doing tonight?
What's going on, Bobby? I'm doing good. You ready for this game?
Dude, are you kidding? Look at it. I mean, this place is, I'm like, I don't know, a quarter of a mile from the stadium. It's jumping right now. My dad's having ice cream off to my left. He's got a screwdriver in one hand, an ice cream cone in the other. That's great for his soon-to-be 62-year-old diet. But just busting his balls a little bit. He's got ice cream all over his face. But what you got for me tonight?
Man, I got a couple thoughts. Number one, I hope y'all are having a good night. Sounds like it. It's always a good time in Baltimore for the pregame. And then
no, I'm thinking the energy drink. I'm thinking it's spiked. I'm thinking somebody might have spiked it on me. I know you're having a good old time. I had my stogie yesterday on the golf course. We play Worthington Manor up in Frederick. Oh, my. I'm not going to take your time, but yesterday was a fantastic day of golf. I suck. I was like I don't, depending on what your definition of is good golf, I was like a standard golfer, I guess, yesterday. But in my mind, it was just the golf game's in shambles for where I want to be. Continue. Sorry.
All right. Point one, that Raiders game, we had no business losing. And I put a lot of that on Todd Monken. And Todd Monken's called a lot of good games, but that AFC Championship game and that Raiders game, there were some plays where it's like I don't know if they're just doing this because like they really want to give the guys on the right side a rep or what, but they that Raiders game, they kept running it to the right side. They had Isaiah Likely trying to do reach blocks on like dive plays and stuff on Max Crosby. I was real perturbed by that game plan and everything with it. But the Chiefs game, man, something's got to happen with this officiating because it just feels like the refs are just too ticky tacky with some of these penalties, and it's like I've been watching football since I've been 8 years old. I'm 31 now, and it's like it's taking the joy out of the game where you can't enjoy it because there's too many ticky tacky calls where it's like, this is football, man. People are going to get hit. I mean, unless something's egregious, and it just feels like not to complain, but like Patrick Mahomes gets the Tom Brady treatment, and it's just really painful to watch because it's like, man, I just want to see good football. But final point, Harbs can't go nowhere. Harbs is the guy for now, but him and Todd Monken, they gotta come up with a game plan because Lamar's not safe back there. The right side of the line is a liability, and if they don't do something, we still got T.J. Watt, Myles Garrett coming up. Like, we got a lot of dudes to deal with, so they gotta figure something out because Lamar ain't gonna make it all 17 games if this is how the line's gonna play all year.
Dean, I appreciate the call. A lot of great points there, and I'll catch up with you on our post-game show, okay?
All right, Bobby.
Thanks for the call, dude. Here's your legend of the game tonight, by the way, if you guys aren't familiar with who's going to be outside the stadium, or as he said, outside the bank a few years ago.
I would like to introduce y'all to the man, the myth, the legend, the MVP front runner. If anybody else got to say something different about that, then come see me. I'm right here in Bmore outside the bank. If you got an issue with that, come see me. I'm about that. Big trust. Woo woo. Lamar Jackson in the flesh. Yes, sir. Big trust.
I'm with you.
New Era 8 apparel.
Hey, this man funny.
What an iconic video right there. MVP season #1 back in 2019 for Lamar Jackson. Mark Ingram will be the Ravens legend of the game, former NFL running back, and who was a big part of that Ravens offense, as you can remember, which was a historic season on the ground back in 2019. Guest lines are open. Corey, let's get you in here. Welcome inside. We are about 30-plus minutes away from kickoff, 8:20 to be exact tonight. We're here at Bmore Around Town. There's a live access link. If you guys want to pop on, it's pinned in the comment section. What you got for me tonight?
What's going on, Bobby? First time, long time. What's going on,
Chi-Town, baby. Chi-Town's finest in the building.
Man. Yes, sir. Here now, but originally from Baltimore. So, you know,
Hell
I'm
yeah.
always repping that purple and black.
That's a great old town. My senior year at Loyola here in Baltimore, my girlfriend and I at the time popped in the car, and she was from She's from Naperville. And we went over for the Cubs series, at least one of the games. We were hanging out in Wrigleyville and whatnot. And they've been trying to make it back to relevance ever since. But, man, that was a hell of a era of Cubs baseball. But what you got for me tonight?
This game, I'm going to be real quick because I know you got other people waiting. This game needs to be a Mark Andrews and Rashad Bateman type game.
Okay.
They're susceptible in the middle of the field. And for whatever reason, Todd Monken does not want to use Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers in the middle of the field. I was at the Dallas game last week, and Zay was visibly upset because he kept obviously because we ran the ball a lot, but he was visibly upset because the only passing plays they ran for him were screen plays. And I think he's getting tired of just being that gadget type of guy. He wants to be a real receiver. So, and Rashad Bateman, the numbers have been what they are. He's open all the time. So get him the ball in the middle of the field. But I'm predicting that this is going to be a Mark Andrews type of game, and Rashad Bateman and him and Isaiah Likely need to work the middle of the field because that's where they're susceptible the most. So that's all I got, man. I appreciate you. Love what you and Sarah are doing. Ravens flock, what up?
Absolutely, Corey. I appreciate you calling in, man. Thank you so much for the support. And it's always great to hear that you guys make us, daily habit or weekly habit when you are in the Baltimore area anymore. I met some folks from Arizona that came in specifically for this tailgate to meet me. Some Florida folks from West Palm. Both of them have been on the channel. It's like I said, I feel like we talk about it every season, but the gratitude is for real. And I just wanted to say thank you for that. So enjoy the game tonight. We'll catch up with you in the post game.
You guys do an amazing job. And me being here in Chicago, I'm an hour behind. So at 11 o'clock, it works perfect. You're midday. When you switch to middays, that was perfect. I can BS at work for at least an hour a day to listen to you guys, and you guys do a phenomenal job. But like I said, let's go Ravens fly.
Thank you, Corey. Appreciate it. Enjoy the game. We'll catch up with you post, all right?
For sure.
Later. Connor O'Callaghan. That is the most Irish last name you will ever find. Thank you for being with us. Connor, what's going on out there? You having a couple pints? What is it? Let's see. You guys are 5 hours ahead? 6 hours ahead? 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 12:30, 1:30. It's either 1:30 or 2:30 in the morning there. That makes you a loyal fan of the channel. So thank you, Connor. Appreciate it. Keep in mind, guys, with a win tonight, the Ravens will move into sole possession of second place in the AFC North based on what's taken place already. That's where we're at. Cleveland goes down. The Vegas Raiders, how about the Raiders, what they're doing? Are you kidding me? What a fantastic evening here at Be More Around Town. Something to watch tonight is who will be your starting left guard. Time will tell. No Andrew Voorhees tonight with an ankle. He was seen in a boot earlier this week. No Michael Pierce as a run stuffer specialist. Those will be pivotal parts of tonight's ultimate outcome. You guys were absolutely fantastic tonight. As you know, this is the part of the evening where I pack up my stuff, race across town as everybody's coming in, set up shop for the post-game show, watch the game, thoroughly take notes with Sarah in our Google Doc, and give you a post-game instant reaction show as soon as this one finishes up. That's what we do every single night, every single game, I should say, and that's what we'll do this evening. If you enjoyed tonight's show, please visit BeMoreAroundTown.com to learn more about what they're offering. I would love to see you. Excuse me. These freaking things, man. I would love to see you at a home tailgate at some point throughout this upcoming season. I would love for you to like the channel, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Like the video, hit that notification bell. A lot of you reach out to me. Hey, I don't want to do the Patreon donation. Is there a way of helping out the channel? A great way to do so is through Venmo, Cash App, you name it. But simply liking the video goes a long way in terms of discoverability. You know how it goes, guys. I got to pop over right now and get back to my at-home studio and set up shop for what plans to be and promises certainly to be a late night as we get ready for week 4 of this NFL season. It's the Ravens and Bills, NBC primetime Sunday Night Football. Mike Tirico and company. He was seen on the streets of Harbor East this weekend, and you better believe whenever he's on a game, it feels big. Sarah and I will be with you on the Vault exclusively tonight. It is tentatively set for midnight Eastern. Set your clocks. We'll catch up with you then. Thanks to Be More Around Town for having me out tonight, and I will catch up with you later. Thanks to all of you for tuning in this evening. It means the world. Catch up with you.